Hello again. So this video will be a bit different from some of my other videos I've done in the past. It's going to be not so much informative, but it's rather my story of how I got into fitness and sort of paint a picture of how big of a role fitness has played in my life. I don't think my story is actually that unique, and some of the things I've dealt with, especially some of my body image issues, I feel like will be very relatable for a lot of you. So to start off, I was an overweight kid. I weighed 160 pounds by 6th grade, and by the end of 8th grade I was 195 pounds. I was actually a relatively active kid. I played sports like soccer, I played hockey competitively, but my diet, that was another story. And unfortunately, like most overweight kids, I was subjected to torment and teasing from some of my peers, classmates, and even some family members and teachers. And of course, as a result, my sense of self-worth and self-confidence was just non-existent. I hated any kind of social interactions as I was just so self-conscious of my body and was just so afraid of any kind of teasing I might potentially receive. So I just became avoidant of any kind of social situations, and things like pools and beaches especially I completely avoided because I was not able to go places where minimal clothing was accepted. I basically just started living in my own bubble and just avoided really anything, and as a result my social skills definitely declined, and making friends was definitely tough because if I was able to get past my awkwardness and maybe my issues with some of my social skills, I didn't trust anyone because I was afraid that once I formed some sort of trust, they would still tease me and just break that trust, and I couldn't risk that. I just so desperately wanted to be skinny and feel like I have control over my life. Now, fast forward to rugby in grade 9. I had heard that many people have lost large amounts of weight in a single season of playing high school rugby, and because my mom was a high school rugby coach, I was just so hyped to try out rugby. And in an attempt to lose weight, I went to practice every day. I tried to clean up my diet as much as possible. I focused on eating primarily fruits and vegetables. I would still throw in some sort of like peanut butter toast or a peanut butter sandwich in a day, maybe a couple glasses of milk, but I was averaging, probably around 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, which not sustainable, but I did that. As a result of this, I dropped 40 pounds from March to May, and went from 195 pounds to 155 pounds. And this was life-changing. For once, I realized I could take control of my body and ultimately take control of my life. People started to notice as well. People seemed to be more positive towards me, and I felt more positive within my own head. And it's like the biggest weight I shed was honestly mentally. Like, it was just like your head just becomes so much more positive. It's like you feel better. Like, I don't know how else to really explain it. After my weight loss, I didn't want to just be skinny and leaner. I wanted some muscle. So in October of 10th grade, I started lifting. I was hooked right away after my first workout. And like many bros when we first started lifting, I wanted to be big like Arnold. So I read all his books, I watched some of his old videos, I watched Pumping Iron, and I would watch all the videos of bodybuilders and read all their kind of forum posts and all that as much as I could and gather as much information as possible. But unfortunately, I started to become obsessed with my appearance and my body image. I started to feel small all the time. I was completely obsessed about it, was thinking about it almost every second of every day, just picking out all the flaws I had and just what I needed to bring up, and it was just relentless thoughts about how my body appeared. And so I got briefly obsessed with not being big enough, so I decided to go on the classic 3,500 calories a day bulk diet and gained a few pounds, but eventually kind of saw briefly the errors in my ways and started to cut down. But my cutting strategy, unfortunately, was restricting my carbs as much as possible because I was told or taught from the internet that carbs are the enemy and that's why you're fat. And unfortunately, after a while, I just imploded. I was just so sick of the food restrictions from that diet, as well as I just couldn't stand the fact of how much smaller I looked, that I entered a period of basically just high calorie and binge eating, as well as performing really high volume training. And I especially gained a large obsession on my arm size. And I was doing probably around 15 to 20 sets of arms twice a week. So roughly doing 30 to 40 weekly sets of arms per week on top of my diet. And this is probably when my obsession got to its worst. I couldn't focus in class at all because all I was thinking about was my workouts or how small my arms were and how much I wanted to bring them up. And I would completely skip all my homework and all my studying to work out instead, or to learn more about working out. And I honestly didn't really hang out with anyone unless it was about working out or it was binge drinking and partying. I ended up losing friendships, my grades completely plummeted, and I gained 25 pounds in about, I think it was 4 months. I finally began to start noticing what I was doing to myself and made an action to clean up my behaviors and just get myself healthier again. And this is really where my passion for the human health sciences like nutrition and real strength training really started. To really start trying to clean up my training and my diet specifically, I tried to learn all I could about training and nutrition from individuals like Omar Isuf or Dr. Mike Isertel, and I just thought to try out strength training, and I fell in love with it pretty quickly. I loved the idea of having tangible goals you work towards every workout and focusing more on what your body can do rather than what it's lacking. Over about a 4-month period, I dropped 20 pounds and I ran a modified 5x5 and hit the benchmark 225 bench, 315 squat, and 405 deadlift, and it was just some of the most fun training I've ever had. I enjoyed every workout, and I started to develop a much better relationship with my workouts and my body. I was able to focus on many things in life more than just lifting. My grades improved a lot. I made friendships again, and I was just overall happier with my appearance, and had a much more positive life again. I didn't really care that I was not the leanest, nor was I the biggest, but I was at a body weight that I could maintain and maintain a healthy relationship with. And that passion that I discovered for the human health sciences really gave me direction on what I wanted to do in life, and directed me to wanting to pursue studying either kinesiology or nutrition in university, and that was my plan going into grade 12. And in grade 12 is where I really started trying powerlifting, and I just absolutely loved it. I had a great relationship with my body image. I continued the progress I made mentally at the end of my grade 11 year, and had a much better relationship with my body and had really no obsession over it. So, my grades in grade 12 were really good because of that. I was able to focus on school, I was able to focus on other things in life. I, again, developed more friendships that were outside of lifting, and it was a good time for me. But, once again, I had more hiccups along the way. I had gained, again, 20 to 25 pounds in my last few months of grade 12, and I realized that by the end of April, or mid-April of that grade 12 year, that I was 180 pounds, and in January, my birthday, I was around 162, so that's a pretty rapid weight gain, and I made it my goal to drop all those 20 pounds by prom, which was the first week of July. So I ended up dropping, it was 15 pounds in less than 8 weeks, and that was a miserable time. I just had no energy for anything, didn't want to do anything. My anxiety was definitely a lot higher than usual, especially because of trying to get the best grades possible going to the end of exams for university, and my obsession with body image came back pretty hard. And this time around, my obsession was revolved around trying to be as lean as possible. It wasn't so much I felt like I wanted to, because I really didn't really care about being that much leaner, but I felt like I absolutely had to in order to be accepted, or just to call myself a more fitness person. I have to have abs. I have to be ripped. So I felt like I absolutely had to have that. So I basically for the rest of the summer just cut down, and as a result I gained a lot of injuries. I had to stop my normal training routines, and I was just doing like a quarter of the weight because I was just so beat up and just had so many injuries going on that I just couldn't lift anything, and I had no energy to. And this continued into my first year of university, which really affected me in that I didn't hang out with anyone because I felt like it would interrupt my dieting or it would interrupt my training. And going into first year is tough enough as it is, but trying to diet and lose more weight on top of that is just another level of stressful. And my grades were just really bad because of that, because the majority of the time I just had no energy to study, or I just couldn't focus on it because all I was thinking about in my head was just, I gotta get leaner, I'm too fat, this is all that matters. But then after first year, it finally hit me that, shit, I'm just going in circles with this whole thing. I go some periods where I just go completely obsessed, and some periods I'm just like, I'm happy with where I am, and it's just, it teeter-totters kind of back and forth. And so I really sat down and set a plan to end this kind of cyclic, sort of happy or obsessed kind of period, and just try to be as happy as possible and try to find overall a much healthier relationship and balance with this whole body image, training, and fitness. Since then, I've definitely made progress, but it hasn't been without lapses. I've definitely had some lapses of obsession, or I'll have periods where I push too hard in the gym while still being fatigued from school and just not eating enough because I just feel like I again have to be leaner. And so that fatigue of school and some of that diet fatigue just accumulates with my training, and then I just end up getting injured. And then it just start all over again where I'm having to do sort of work around training and thinking about it too much and trying to find workarounds for injuries rather than just get healthy and just train normally where I don't have to think about anything. But I have learned a lot. I've learned that I'm someone who can't train for aesthetics without being completely obsessed over it. And I think many of us actually can't really train for aesthetics. And that's because a lot of us just become too obsessed over it to the point where it just completely takes over your life. And I think aesthetics as a whole takes some level of obsession for sure. But when it completely takes over control of your life and you feel like you have to do it or you need to do it, not because you actually want to do it, then it just makes it pointless to continue doing. It's just destroying your life rather than enhancing it. And fitness as a whole should enhance your life and make you happier and healthier, not be a detriment to it. And at the end of the day, all that really matters is that you're healthy and you're happy. And if your training is negatively affecting those things, I think it's a good time to really reconsider what you're doing. And now currently I'm finally back on a full strength routine, the first time in actual years due to injuries and other circumstances. But, I could be bigger, I could be leaner, but I'm at a weight I can maintain. And I definitely could be leaner for the summer, but it would again be because I feel like I have to, not because I actually want to. It would risk, more injuries, and it probably would bring back some of those obsessions again, and I'd rather just not do that. I'm happy, I'm grateful that I can finally strength train again. That's what I love to do the most in fitness. All I want now is just to focus on my health, become healthier, be able to train consistently without having to work around injuries, continue developing a better relationship with training and my body image, and just be happy. Thank you for watching, and I hope this gave some insight on sort of what my journey through fitness has been and some of the struggles I faced along the way. And maybe this is giving you something to relate to if you're also having similar struggles yourself. I try to make the video as simplified as possible, not go in too much depth. That way the video doesn't become too convoluted and become too long. So again, thank you guys for watching, and just always remember, your health and your happiness do come first.